So there's some very bizarre family connection going on. Now, I need you to explain to me कि ये जो झलक है लगान में, I know there's a song called Haryala Sawan Dhol Bajate Aaya, which I've grown up with. But why? Why do people compare Lagan to Dobika Zameen, which we're going to see a little later?
Well, first of all, good evening. It's a great pleasure to be here today on this 50th year of Bimal. Well, it was a surprise that you would play my song. I thought you'd play Haryana song.
Surprise!
But yeah, a lot of Bimal Das films have, very subconsciously influenced my mind through my growing years. And what I remember distinctly about Dobika Zameen is when this song starts, it doesn't start with Haryala Sawan. It starts with, if I remember, hey, tagina, tagina.
Exactly.
And then he says, jagina, jagina, jagi, jaga, jaga, jaga. Now, what came across to me when I heard tak, 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 tagina, tagina, or jag, 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 jagina, jagina, it meant to me that the farmer was so happy to see the advent of clouds, he felt that my happy days are here. Because now this rain is going to come, my crops are going to be good, and my family life is going to be very good. And that stayed in my mind. So even for me, when I wrote Lagan, my first influence when I was doing the scene was that I needed something by which the farmer expresses joy at the advent of rain. Though, a moment later, the clouds just pass away and a tragedy strikes. But I needed that effect of as if he doesn't know how to express his happiness. So what comes to his mind is tagina, 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 or jag, jag, jagina. Haryala Sawan starts later. So for me, I needed something like that, which is why Ghanana, Ghanana, Gira, Gira, I, Badra. So it gives as if he's also trying to express.
Yeah.
But yes, for me, without taking too much time, I saw Dobika Zameen first when I was a very little boy on Doordarshan. And I remember being interested in it, though my mind was not developed cinematically so much. And as then years went by, I watched Zada, Pariniti, I watched Parak, all the movies that I saw. One day I realized that there is a director who makes these movies. And then I realized that these films, these great classics are made by one man. I think that really blew my mind away. And when I did the FA course in the institute, I revisited the films. And that's when I realized that what power this filmmaker has to express so many complex topics, so many different themes, themes of social awareness, themes of the middle class struggle, themes of class system, and express them in his movies in a very entertaining way. I think that's an unbelievable achievement. So that probably has stayed. And when you compare Lagan with Dobika Zameen, actually you're honoring me. I feel very good.
I think it's a family connection. It's about following the heritage. And similarly like you, I have discovered my grandfather and his teaching as a grandfather, but also as somebody who believed in the importance of cinema,
Right.
as an informer for everybody,
Yeah.
and giving the absolute last word to the audience.
Yeah.
That understand that this influence is something that you're going to take home with you. It's going to keep coming back as songs, but that reminder, what you talked about, social awareness.
Yeah.
And in Bandhani, for instance, I was astonished to find that Bandhani is about the women in prison.
Yeah.
And there is something about women in prison which is very difficult to watch, because they lose everything and they're standing there getting blankets.
Yeah.
अब वो जो कंबल ले रहे हैं उस लॉन्ग शॉट में किस तरह से my grandfather has shown that, it made me really fall in love with the film when I was 16, 17 years old. And that's when I also discovered a very weird connection. And again, coming back to family, Nobendu Ghosh,
Yeah.
Ritik Ghatak, who today because of division is in Bangladesh,
Yeah.
but he wrote Madhumati.
Yeah.
We have the extraordinary Gulzar, who has today become a director. Rishikesh Mukherjee began as my grandfather's assistant.
Yeah.
And my own father, who ran away also with my mother. So, causing some problems. But when you think about this, you suddenly realize there's much more going on.
Yeah.
And he was teaching. He was a guru. Now, talking about Bandini, I'm sorry, don't mind, I have to embarrass you, but घर के लोग हैं.
Yeah, okay. Tell me.
क्या है कि I know men are not supposed to shed tears publicly, especially हमारे देश में आदमियों को रोना मना है. लेकिन I have heard.
I know where you're going.
You can guess.
Yeah.
I believe the last time that you shed a tear when there was the darkness of the cinema was during Bandini.
Yes, that is correct.
Why?
But it's not only Bandhani, and I can cry unashamedly. I'm not embarrassed by that.
Good.
But Shabana ji, good evening.
Hi, Mom.
In Sujata, in Bandhani, each time, even now, if I see the film, I'm emotionally very much moved. Because that's the way his storytelling is, in which he gives you an insight into the human condition, into what the characters are going through. So I think that really moves you. That's the main force of his entire filmmaking process.
And there was something that recently I was reading about. It's a film I haven't seen. But I've been reading about this, and frankly, Nivedita ji asked me, why did I come after 9 years back? I want to know why. Why should we be watching these films again? I'm hearing Juhi Chaturvedi has written Piku, and we're honoring her later. But there is the Sujit Sarkar.
Yeah.
The Sujit Sarkar has made Piku, and there's a very important theme that they have captured, and they're talking about, and they are admitting. आजकल के filmmakers ये बता रहे कि उनके influences में Bimal Roy, along with others from the past,
Yeah.
writers, directors alike, are admitting this influence of the past. Now, how do you explain that, and why do you think it's important that we remember the past?
See, I think in his movies, in Vimandas, I think each of his films, what I take away always is a certain sense of tranquility. It's very melancholic. The way he uses his close-ups, the way he sets up the scene and brings in the close-up at a time when you're supposed to feel that emotion. He's a master craftsman. And whether it's Mahato and Parvati, or Dobiga, or you take Kalyani or Bandhani, or Sujata, or each character, you remember them, when you take the name of the film, you remember their close-ups. You remember their scenes which are most poignant in...
So he's making them alive.
Yes, and supported with that is the theme. His themes are timeless. I mean, we should have moved on in all our social stigmas that we have, but sadly we haven't. So each time his film comes up, we realize that, he's tackling the same issue which is relevant even today. So his films have stood the test of time, and they will stay relevant like this for generations.
Thank you so much for being here. Because the most important part of doing a Shraddhanjali is to have family here. And may I please invite on stage
Shabana ji is here. Thank you, Shabana ji, for coming here.
because when we do a Shraddhanjali, Nivedita ji, the most important thing we have forgotten.
Yes.
Okay? The most important thing we have forgotten is that
We have to light the
we
lamp.
have to light the lamp.
Yes.
We're doing it after you run. Yeah, because everybody wants to see the film and they're here for this. But Dada Baba's anniversary is coming up in a couple of days.
You don't know who Dada Baba is.
So Dada Baba is Ashutosh Azmi, who was a fellow Marxist with my father. who all have started under this family of our filmmaking. And we are talking about the relevance of Indian cinema today. And the most important thing that the Bimal Roy Memorial Committee is beginning to do is to institute the Museum of Indian Cinema. And this is why we are fundraising. We are remembering with the legacy that has been left behind by all our antecedents. And therefore, without further ado, I think we should light the lamp.
Yes.
Mama?
I would
And
request
Mama? Yeah?
Rinki ji and Mr. Ramakrishna Swamy from Classic Marble Company, जो हमारे title sponsor हैं, Vice President Sales, Mr. Ramakrishna Swamy, please come up on stage to light the lamp. I request Niranjan Bhai from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, please come up on stage. Ashutosh ji.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I wish to congratulate the family of Bimal Roy for putting together this much-needed retrospective. I did find it strange when I heard Ambesha asking Ashutosh, why should we remember Bimal Roy? What a redundant question. How can we not? How can anybody in today's day and age who is even remotely interested in cinema dare to make films without knowing the work of Bimal Roy? I think when we remember our past masters, we do it not merely to salute them in the contribution that they've made, but more to remind us that this is a legacy we have in our hands, a legacy which we should cherish and remember what beautiful cinema they made when life was much simpler, when all the technical advances that we have today were not at hand, when all that existed was conviction, a good story, and the intention to tell it beautifully. Bimal Roy will always be remembered for being a remarkable storyteller who had the ability to draw out absolutely stunning performances from his actors and had the ability to tell his story through a medium that is essentially cinema. Our deep respects to him, and I hope you get the chance to enjoy all these wonderful films on the big screen. I consider it a big honor to be present here today. Thank you.
Start the film, but also हमारे इंडियन फैमिली में शुक्रिया अदा करना बहुत 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 जरूरी होता है. Just saying thank you for being here, thank you for honoring our past, and thank you for helping us to take it forward. So there was some time ago a very important person
Thank you. And
one more